Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chase and this is All Things Random. Clearly this is a little different, talking hands only in this video. I have a lot of watch reviews coming up, so figured I would spare you the intro and outro and just get right into the watch reviews. A lot of videos coming up in the future. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Now today we are talking about this. This is the WISHDOIT watch. This is a Richard Mille homage. Now honestly, I have done some Richard Mille homages in the past to include the Feast. That Feast was $700 on Amazon, $699, maybe it's $500 now, $600 on Amazon. And honestly, that thing, it was nice. It had a carbon fiber case, but you know, it just didn't do it for me. Now, maybe WISHDOIT will do it a little bit better. Now, to be fair, I have worn this for about a week and a half, and I can tell you that I like it a lot, but there are a few things that are slightly nitpicky about it that we'll talk about. Now, it does come in this like travel watch roll, which is nice because if you don't have a whole lot of watches or you just travel with one or two, like you wear one on the wrist and you put one in one of these traveling cases, it's very nice. Keeps your watch safe during traveling. Honestly, this thing is pretty good quality, but this watch is not cheap. Let's talk about that right now. This watch specifically, and I will leave a link down in the description, this is nearly $500. This is nearly a $500 Richard Mille homage with the name WISHDOIT. This is extremely comfortable. Like I said, I've worn it for, about a week. And let's just get right into the measurements and the pros and cons. I'm not really sure. I don't think this thing has any air coating, so bear with me as we're going through this video. Now, like I said, this is a tornado-shaped case, 316L stainless steel all the way around. And you can feel it. It does have a quite hefty weight, even though it has this fluorine rubber strap, which is extremely comfortable. But the weight on this watch is 135 grams. So it not only wears slightly large, but you can also feel it on your wrist. Now the case size of this is going to be 42 millimeters by 50 millimeters in diameter. So in no way is it a small watch. And it is pretty thick at 15.7. Now, one of the things that I kind of was a little bit depressed about, a watch named WISHDOIT with a piece of mineral glass on the top. Honestly, at a price point over $300, if you're a micro brand, you should automatically have a piece of sapphire glass. Even though this is curved, a piece of curved sapphire glass is not gonna make or break the company when it comes to selling these watches. You'd be better adding an extra $50 to it, having a curved piece of sapphire than just having a piece of mineral glass. Honestly, those sort of cost-cutting measurements really does sort of hurt the watch in the long run. And it is sort of like, for me, a watch collector, someone who even loves homage watches, that's going to be sort of a negative point when I am looking at purchasing a watch myself. Now, it does not have a changeable bracelet. It is integrated, and it does have a really nice slope down on this integrated fluorine rubber strap, and that's what they call it, a fluorine rubber strap. And honestly, this strap is extremely comfortable on the wrist. One of the complaints I had with the Feast Richard Mille homage was the fact that the rubber strap was so tough on the wrist. It was so thick and it could barely bend that it actually made a comfortable watch relatively uncomfortable. This is not the same, and you can see that it is flat right here, but it sits on the flat part of the wrist bone, so it's not curved, but honestly it wears like it is curved. Now, like I said, the case itself is 316L stainless steel, and it does have like a nice brushing across the top. Now, it does have polished edges right along the outside, so it gives it sort of a nice little break when it, kind of plays in the light. You have the brushed, you have the high polish on the sides. It just gives it a nice, will pop for the eye to grab onto. It does have a very, very large crown, which is not a bad thing because that large crown makes it so that it's extremely easy to wind or adjust. Now, one of the things that I don't like about this watch is the company name of WISHDOIT. Now, it does have a signed buckle right here, and you can see on the buckle there is a logo. Why don't they just get rid of the WISHDOIT name and simply put the logo on? I think that would be more advantageous for the company, because WISHDOIT is just one of those names that it just really doesn't flow right. And if someone says, hey, what kind of watch is on your wrist? Are you really going to say, oh, WISHDOIT? I don't know. But honestly, if you had that logo in place of the WISHDOIT, I think that that would be more of a home run for me outside of what we're about to talk about. Now let's talk about the movement inside of this watch. Now this is almost a 16 millimeter thick watch, so the movement inside is actually relatively small. So a lot of what's inside is empty space and filler. Now the filler is going to be the dial, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But inside of this is an automatic movement. Now the automatic movement is unspecified, and in no way can I find what type of movement is in it. I assume it's a Miyota movement, but again, no specifications. They say this has an 80-hour power reserve, so that's actually quite nice, and says that the vibrations per hour are 28,800 vibrations an hour. So that second hand ticks at 8 ticks a second, so it's a relatively smooth ticking second hand. That's also nice to see. But not a big fan of not knowing exactly what type of movement is in my watch. Now it does have a signed rotor or a decorated rotor to just give a little bit more on that back end. Not too bad. Now this thing says it does have 50 meters of water resistance, which is nice. You can see I still have the sticker on the back. But if you look down at the bottom, it says fashion watch. Now why does it say fashion watch along the bottom? It's just little things like that. WISHDOIT, fashion watch. Let's get rid of WISHDOIT, just do a logo, get rid of fashion watch, have nothing there. And honestly, I think this thing would be a lot better. Now let's talk about this dial. Now the dial is a skeletonized dial, and they say that it is multi-layered, and they use a lot of terms like electroplating and this and that. None of that really matters when it comes to the dial itself. Now this is a skeletonized dial, like I said. You can see part of the movement through the dial, but you really can't see a lot of the movement. A lot of the dial is a sort of a mimic representation of what is inside or what should be inside. And I say that because you can see here underneath the 12, it looks like that's a ruby of a movement, but it's not. That little X is a faux bridge that leads to nothing. And you can see there's a faux bridge on the bottom that has quite a large gap, and then it goes to the balance wheel way behind it. There's some gearing in here that go to nothing, and you can tell when you wind it that it doesn't go to anything. In fact, let's just go ahead and move the hands out of the way so you can see those gears just a little bit better. So right here is a gear. That is a non-functioning gear. Now it's stuff like that. It's just unnecessary. I would rather this have a solid dial. Now the dial is done pretty good, minus the faux bridges and fake rubies. The indices are done quite nicely. I love the fact that you have the 3 and the 9 that are a beautifully done, illuminated, numerals at the 3 and the 9, and then the indices are well done along the outer perimeter of the dial itself. I would rather it just, and I get they want to sort of go with the Richard Mille look, which are all skeletonized. It would be better if they did just something different. Not so much faux, and more of the actual real mechanical, display of the movement itself. You can see on the back that it is a small round movement, which even Richard Mille uses round movements in Tourneau or square style watches. It just is how it is. That's not a big deal. But there's no reason to add all this decorative stuff. And you can see even on the back, they added more decorative stuff, decorative plate over the movement itself in an attempt to make it look better. Fine. But it doesn't need to be that done on the front. What they did was they cut costs. They made something that looks very high-end. They slapped some weird name like WISHDOIT on it, and they built this giant faux bridge dial to give you more of an aesthetic appearance. I don't fault them for the aesthetics of the watch. I understand what they're trying to do. And honestly, I would highly recommend this watch. This watch is not a bad watch. I just think that they could have done things a little differently. Starting with the name, WISHDOIT, get rid of the fashion watch on the back, and just even the dial. The dial's not so bad. That's more nitpicky than anything else. I just don't like seeing fake things on my watch. Now, like, again, the screws around the outside that look like Richard Mille star screws. I doubt that those are actually functioning screws. Now, there are 4 screws on the back. Are those functioning screws? I don't know, but the case does screw down, so if those are the real screws, great. Are there any real screws on the front? I just don't know. I'm not going to tear this watch apart. Honestly, I think the watch is extremely comfortable. I think for about $500, it's not a bad deal if you want an Homage watch. Not a replica, but an Homage. I think they did a good job if you want a good steel, industrial, skeletonized-ish watch. I just wish they would change the name from WISHDOIT to, you know, how about just this logo? That would be cool too. Keep it WISHDOIT, but change it to just a logo. Now let's try it on the wrist. Okay, and here is the watch on my 7¼ inch wrist. It looks a little large, but wears very, very comfortable. Like I said, I've worn this at work. I'm a police officer. I have beat this thing up. There are no scratches. Even though it's a mineral crystal, there are no scratches on it as of right now. No scratches on the face of the case either. This thing has held up, and like I said, it is quite comfortable. It fits on the wrist, extremely comfortable. Even though it's 135 grams, it feels more hefty because it's large, not because it's heavy. I think that this would be a good watch if it was about $50 less, maybe $100 less, and WISHDOIT was not there. I'm going to leave a link down below. I'll let you guys make the decision for yourself. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about the watch. Now, a few things I ask for everybody who's made it this far. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment of the content you guys would like to see on this channel. Make sure you guys are also hitting that subscribe button. Also, look down in the description. I own a watch strap company called Chase Straps. This cannot hold a chase strap since this fluorine rubber integrated. But chase straps offer really high quality vintage Italian calf leather watch straps and herringbone NATO watch straps as well. Check it out, and I will see you guys in the next one.